Okay. You guys on Periscope, can you hear now? Can you guys hear? Okay, great. So let me try Facebook Live one more time. Okay. Okay, so let's try this again. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. So, um, let's continue with our discussion for today, which is unrealistic expectations. I titled it "The Number One Killer of the Number One." Assalamu alaikum, Abdulalim, mashallah. The number one killer of marital cohesion or marital bliss. Um, why did I label it that? Because the mother of expectation is the mother of all frustration. Expectation is the mother of all frustration. So let me give you the definition of unrealistic expectations and how they tend to destroy relationships. Albert Ellis, he said that we tend to live according to our belief systems. These are things that we hold to be true about the world, about ourselves, relationships with other people, and so on. Belief systems are essentially a set of hard facts that we live by, and they guide how we act and how we think. These are beliefs that we have, not just beliefs about God. I'm not talking about spiritual beliefs. I'm talking about moral beliefs. I'm talking about beliefs as it relates to Facebook Live. It just looks like the connection is horrible. I don't know why. It's raining, possibly because of that. But if you guys want to go to Periscope, you can do that now because I'm going to turn the Facebook Live off once it stops. Once the connection keeps going in and out, once it stops completely, I'm just going to turn it off. All right. So I'm not talking about belief systems that we hold as it relates to God. I'm talking about moral belief system, moral belief systems that we've created due to, the environments that we lived in, our immediate surrounding, our neighborhoods, the environments that groomed us. All right. And we've, created worldviews. We've created, expectations in how people are supposed to treat us, how we are supposed to treat people. These are all where we derive a lot of our, interactions with the world around us as a result of our belief systems. So belief systems are essentially a set of hard facts that we live by. They guide how we act and how we think. In intimate relationships, they give us standards for how we treat our partner as well as how we expect to be treated by them. All right, so these same belief system, moral belief systems that we hold, we go into intimate relationships with these belief systems, and they create for us what are called standards. All right, your standards are created as a result of the moral belief systems that you've created in your life or were created for you, depending on what your cultural background is. Obviously, some people from certain cultures, they have basically their belief system handed to them. They're told what to think, how to treat people, what to expect from people. They're already, force fed this. They don't have an option. But for those of us who are fortunate enough to grow up in environments where we are, we embrace the world based upon how we engage the world, that we create belief systems based upon, our experiences, our own individual experiences. You understand? So there's some people who come from certain cultures and they have the cultural beliefs, moral systems thrusted upon them, and they don't have any pretty much any say so in it. And then there are those of us who engage the world, and based upon our experiences with the world, we create belief systems, how we should treat people, how people should treat us. So Albert Ellis is saying here that belief systems are essentially a set of hard facts that we live by, and they guide how we think and how we act. In intimate relationships, they give us standards for how we treat our partner and how we expect to be treated by our partner. You guys follow me? You guys follow me? Pay attention, because I'm going to show you full circle how this plays out in our relationships. The mother of all frustration is expectation. All right? If you are in a relationship right now and you are frustrated with your spouse, much of your frustration is due to your own expectations. Your own expectations come from the standards that you have created, which are derived from your belief system about the world and the people in it. That is the isnad, that is the chain, all right, that connects you to your frustration. You understand? You are frustrated with your spouse right now. If you're frustrated, 9 times out of 10 because of your expectation. You expect your spouse to engage you in a certain way. Where did those expectations come from? Those expectations come from a belief system about yourself and about the world that you live in that was created from the world that groomed you. The world that groomed you, whether it was your immediate environment with your mother, your father, your siblings, or whether it was your cultural environment, whether it was, your geological environment, where you were located at, where you were raised. All of these things have contributed to the belief systems that you hold about yourself and about others. All right? So obviously, if you grew up in a home and your father was always telling you you're a princess, your mom is always telling you you're a princess, and they gave you, the world or whatever the case may be, that shaped and molded the way that you believe the world is supposed to engage you and the way that you are supposed to engage the world. And when you go out into the world and you realize that the world does not cater to you the way that your parents, nurtured you, then you are frustrated with the world because you have a set of beliefs about yourself and about how the people that live in your world should engage you. You understand? It's very important. I'm going to show you where a lot of our narcissistic behavior comes from. This self-centered, self-righteous, narcissistic behavior that many of us hold in our relationships and outside of our relationships, where this stuff comes from. Proceeds to sip coffee. I'm going to show you. Pay attention. So in intimate relationships, all right, these beliefs, they create for us standards. This is where your standards come from. So when you say, I'm not lowering my standards for no one, or I have high standards, those standards come from your personal belief systems. All right? And they guide how you act and how you think. So in intimate relationships, they give us standards for how we treat our partner as well as how we expect to be treated by our partners. All right? In effect, our belief systems are part of the mindset that we bring into the relationship. Our belief systems are a part of the mindset that we bring with us into relationships. Some of our beliefs are rational, and some of our beliefs are irrational. And Albert Ellis, he is the one who created the rational emotive behavior therapy theory. All right. And as a clinical counselor, I used to teach that theory working with, you know, the inmate population that was, you know, transitioning back out into the world. I'm very familiar with his theory on rational emotive behavior therapy. Very good theory, if I might say so myself. But he says some of our beliefs are rational emotive behavior therapy, REBT. He created that theory. Albert Ellis, he created that theory. And most of the halfway houses, especially the halfway houses that are underneath the umbrella of CEC, community educational centers, they teach that theory. Most of the halfway houses, they teach the REBT theory. And that REBT theory was created by Albert Ellis. All right. So if you've ever been a counselor or you've ever worked with, inmates transitioning back out into, you know, the world, halfway houses, clinician, then you should be familiar with that theory. Albert Ellis was the one who created that theory. But he says some of our beliefs are rational and some of our beliefs are irrational. Those falling into the latter group, meaning those that are irrational, all right, they have no basis in fact and are inconsistent with how the world and people actually behave. The beliefs that you hold about yourself and the beliefs that you hold about other people there is no basis for those beliefs. It is not rooted in fact, and in actuality is inconsistent with how the world and people actually behave. So let's look at how that manifests in a relationship, because you have people who go into relationships with some of these this irrational thoughts and beliefs about how they are supposed to be treated and how they are supposed to treat other people. And believe it or not, what makes this so dangerous for us as Muslims is that some of our irrational beliefs are rooted in misunderstandings of the religion. I'll say that again, because this is very dangerous. Some of the irrational beliefs that we hold about people and the beliefs that we hold about how people should treat us is rooted in misunderstandings of religion. And so we go into relationships totally misunderstanding. So this is where misogyny comes into play. You have Muslim men who go into relationships with this mindset that I am the man in this relationship, which translates that what I say goes. What I don't approve of is not allowed. When I speak, you listen. You don't have a right to challenge me and what I say. And all of this stems from a misunderstanding of a few verses in the Quran and a few ahadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Correct me when I go wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this is dangerous. It's very dangerous. Because as long as you hold that belief that I am the man and what I say goes and you have to listen to me, obey your husband, sister, once you have that mindset, right? What you end up doing is you will divorce until you find the right woman that will just simply acquiesce. You will continue to divorce, and it will always be the woman's fault because she has not recognized your rightful place in the construct of the marriage. She has not recognized your place. So as a result of that, it's never your fault. It's always the other person's fault because they have not recognized you. The same thing goes for women, sisters, especially in today's time with an increase of ignorance amongst a lot of Muslim women. A lot of you cherry pick your entire religion from tidbits of information that you were able to grab from whatever speaker that speaks your language. See, the danger with the Muslim community today, especially amongst sisters, especially amongst the women, is that you guys don't sit down and learn your religion. You don't. You don't sit down and actually learn your religion. You cherry pick your entire deen based upon whoever is speaking to your heart at that moment. Whoever is speaking. If Shadeed Muhammad is, going in on the men, then he becomes your guy at that moment. But the moment he says something that you disagree with, then you go find another imam. You go find another student. You go find somebody else that's speaking your language. You go find somebody else that is, pulling the strings of your heart. And that is not how you learn Islam. You're not going to ever learn your religion like that. Out of all of the scholars that I've studied with, out of all of the professors in the Islamic university that we had the opportunity to study under, do you think that I agreed with every single one of them on every single issue that they had? Absolutely not. There are some scholars that I consider dear to me, and I wholeheartedly disagree with them on many issues, but that is still my sheikh. That is still my imam. That is still someone that I take knowledge from. But you guys are not like that. You don't have an academic mindset. It's pure emotional. So whatever I agree with at that moment, I'll listen. And then the moment he or she says something that I disagree with, then I got to go find somebody else to listen to. Wallah al-Azim, you will never learn your religion like that. That's not how you learn your deen. And you women, you guys get caught up in this stuff so much. You listen to one person, the moment he said something you agree with, you rocking with him. And then the moment he says something you disagree with, then you run and you attack him, because he said something that you disagree with. It's okay for somebody that you respect and look up to once in a while say something that you don't agree with. He's speaking his truth, not yours. He's speaking his truth, not your truth. But you women, you guys are not going to ever learn your religion when you cherry pick your entire deen from here. You're all over the place. You take deen from this person. You take deen from feminists. You take deen from, ignorant women who carry the title doctor this and doctor that. And you think that because they carry the title doctor, that makes them qualified to speak about Islamic matters. It does not. I don't care what your title says. I don't care what university, conferred upon you the title of doctor. Islam did not confer upon you the title of doctor. From an Islamic standpoint. So you are not a doctor in Islam, in any of Islamic sciences, whatsoever. All you have is a bunch of opinions. That's it. And opinions that are usually not backed by anything substantial from the religion, whether Quran or from Sunnah. Nothing. It's just pure opinion. And for some of you, that is all you need is an opinion. You don't need anything rooted, substantiated by the religion. You're not going to learn your religion like that. You're not going to learn your deen like that. So some of the beliefs that we have, some of the beliefs that we hold about ourselves and that we hold about other people are irrational. They have no basis in fact and are inconsistent with how the world and people actually behave. You are, in your mind, you are a princess. In your mind, you are a princess. In your mind, you are a queen. But the world and the people in it don't necessarily see you like that. That only comes as a result of rapport that is established. Once you establish a rapport with a person, you steady running around talking about, I'm a black queen, I'm a queen this, and I'm a this, and okay, cool. In your mind, the world doesn't necessarily see you like that. The world doesn't see you like that. I didn't block him because he asked me to make dua. This is not the platform for that. How you gonna come on somebody else's platform, put post after post, make dua, can I request dua? No, you can't request dua. No. This is not the place for that. When you go to YouTube and you turn on BET, and do you tell BET to do this for you and make requests for that? No. Why you come into my platform for that? I'm wrong for that, then I'm gonna block you too. Goodbye. Now y'all together. You can share his sentiment. I don't understand that. How you going to usurp somebody else's platform? At any rate, right? Exactly. Shaitan here again to throw us off. Moving right along. Moving right along. So some of our beliefs are irrational and are rooted. There are no basis for, in fact, and are inconsistent with how the world and people actually behave. So what we're going to do now that I gave you the premise, I gave you the foundation, all right, for, some of these expectations that we have, right? So let me just make it easy for you. So if anyone felt like I was wrong for blocking him, then you can just leave. You can leave. So because I blocked him, if you have a problem with that, then you can just leave out of the room. You don't have to post anything. You don't have to make me block you. Don't make me block you. The guy just doubled back and said, that's why your hairline is fake. Okay, cool. And that's why you're blocked. Proceeds to sip coffee. So he'll go and create a Facebook page and say, oh, Shadiq Muhammad oppressed me. All I was asking was for the brother to make dua for me, and he blocked me, and blah, 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 blah. And then you'll get your 5 minutes of fame. And then, keep it moving right along. I don't understand why I'm the passageway, the doorway, the gateway to people's 5 minutes of fame. I really just don't understand that. So I don't have a right to block someone. It's my page. It's my page. I don't have a right to block someone. Okay. All right. So giving you the foundation for some of the irrational beliefs that we hold about ourselves and that we hold about other people. All right, you guys following me? Everyone has, a basic understanding of where our standards come from, where our expectations come from. Our expectations come from our standards. Our standards come from our belief systems that were created, sometimes rationally or irrationally by the environments that shaped us and raised us. So then we go into relationships with people and we're sitting back with all of these great expectations about how people should treat us and how we are going to treat other people. And here again, the mother of all frustration is expectation. So let's look at some examples of some unrealistic expectations that people have in their relationships. Number one is that each spouse is supposed to make each other happy. You are supposed to make me happy. This is one of the most common unrealistic expectations that people go into relationships with. This is one of the most common unrealistic expectations that people go into relationships with. You are supposed to make me happy. That is your response. I want you to listen to how that sounds. You are supposed to make me happy. That's your responsibility. If I marry you, if I go into a relationship with you, your job, your responsibility is to make me happy and keep me happy. That's a heavy responsibility to place on anybody. That is a heavy responsibility to place on anybody. That I am supposed to make you happy. That's my job. My job is to make you happy and to keep you happy. That is a huge responsibility to place on someone. But we do it all the time. We'll leave relationships under the guise that I'm not happy anymore. This is not working for me anymore. I'm not happy anymore. You're not making me happy. I'm not happy with you anymore. And people will exit relationships, in and out of relationships, based upon this notion that the other person is supposed to make me happy. Let me explain something to you about happiness. Happiness is a state of being that you control. Happiness is a state of being that you are personally responsible for. No one else is responsible for your happiness except you. My job as your spouse is not to make you happy. That's not my job. Nor is it my job to keep you happy. Because that's like putting me on a hamster wheel, spinning the wheel, and I got to keep going. That's unrealistic. It's unrealistic for you to go into a relationship believing that this person is supposed to make you happy and keep you happy. Happiness is a state of being that you are personally responsible for. Happiness depends more on your attitude than it does external circumstances. Right? That is what has been embedded in us. Here again, from the belief systems that we have created over the years. And we go into relationships with people holding this belief that you are supposed to make me happy. And when you don't make me happy, I'm leaving. I need a man that can make me happy. I need a woman that can, please me. A woman that is pleasing to me. Right? In the Islamic tradition, that's what we say. I want a woman that is pleasing to me. And it takes the total responsibility off of yourself and places you're placing basically something that should be your individual responsibility. You are placing on the shoulders of someone else that may or may not be able to shoulder that. That may or may not be able to handle that. Because the thing is, even if we said, okay, yeah, you're supposed to make me happy. Okay, what makes you happy? What is it that makes you happy? Okay, you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 makes me happy. Okay, what if I can only do 3? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God did not wire us to make people happy. God wired us to make God happy. You guys follow me? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not wire us to make people happy. Allah wired us to please Him. I'm not here to serve another human being. I am here to serve God. And sometimes in serving God, that might require me to disappoint you as a human being. You understand? Sometimes in serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that may require me to disappoint you. So if you say that I am here to make you happy, that is an unrealistic expectation. I am not here to make you happy. I am here to serve God, serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to hope that Allah is pleased with me. And sometimes that may require me to make you uncomfortable. You guys follow me? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, "O you who believe, indeed from amongst your wives and your children are enemies to you. Be aware of them." Some men, your wives and your children are enemies to you. Why? Because they make you compromise your obedience to God. They make you compromise your servitude to God because of their needy nature. Not saying all women are needy, but they share with children in that same framework that they are in need of attention, they are in need of love, they are in need of things. You understand? So my job sometimes in trying to please Allah is going to require that I make you uncomfortable. Sometimes you're going to ask me to jump off the ledge with you, and I'm going to tell you, no, I can't. I'm not going that far. I'm not going that route with you. You understand? So it's very important that, we understand that happiness depends more on your attitude than it does external circumstances. Your emotional state is based upon how you interpret events in your life rather than what actually happened. You guys follow me? That your emotional state is based upon how you interpret the events that happen in your life, not necessarily what happened. I'll give you an example of that from the Prophet ﷺ's life, right? We all are familiar with the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ was sitting one time and a group of hypocrites walked by. For those of you on Facebook Live, you can go to Periscope. The Facebook Live is choppy. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's going in and out. You can go to Periscope, inshallah. The Prophet ﷺ, he was sitting one time and a group of hypocrites walked by, and one of them said, Assalamu alaik, death be upon you. This is the event. I'm giving you the event. What was my statement? My statement was, your emotional state depends more on how you interpret the event, not necessarily the event. That is how you become in control over your happiness. Happiness is an emotional state. Happiness is an emotional state. So if you are going to be in control over your emotional state, it has a lot to do with the way that you interpret the event rather than the event itself. The Prophet ﷺ was sitting there. The hypocrite walked by and said, Assalamu alaikum, death be upon you. Death be upon you. He's wishing death upon the Prophet ﷺ. That's the event, right? That is the event. So the Prophet ﷺ retorts with, Assalamu alaikum, and death be upon you too. That was his response to the event. I want to show you, using this example of the Prophet ﷺ, how the same situation can happen to two people, and they're going to get a different response based upon how they interpreted that event. And that is something that happens between husband and wife as well. Husband and wife may be out and about. Somebody says something. The husband nonchalantly responds a certain way. The woman, gets, super excited and, exaggerated and agitated and responds a different way. And then they may get in the car and argue because of the ways that they responded to the same situation. The situation triggered you like that. It didn't trigger me like that. We're both having, the same event happened to both of us. But the way that we interpret the event based upon our own life experiences is different. We're not going to see, you understand? We're not going to see the same events the same way. It's not going to affect us the same way. It's about perception. It's about how you interpret it. So the wife may be agitated and angry because the husband didn't respond this way, but the husband is like, well, I wasn't affected like that. It didn't affect me like that. It didn't have the same impact on me that it had on you for a number of reasons. You understand? And it's not, and we teach this in our marriage retreats, that we don't have to respond to the same situation the same exact way in order for us to be in sync. Yes, you were offended, so was I, but the offense didn't bother me to the point where I felt like I needed to get physical with the person. It didn't bother me to the point where I felt like I needed to, get indignant. Do you understand? And sometimes, women and men will begin to chide one another and begin to blame and condemn one another that they didn't respond to the same situation the same way. Hey, Auntie Linda, how you doing? You know what I mean? Like they will get angry with one another that they didn't respond. And it's like, well, why didn't you say something? I did say something, but I wasn't going to. So two people are having, a totally different experience in the same situation. That is what we can gather from this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said to the man, "Wa'alik, and upon you too." They said, "Death be upon you, O Messenger of Allah." And the Prophet ﷺ said, "And upon you too." No need to get indignant. So Aisha, radiallahu anha, the Prophet ﷺ's wife, she's sitting there, saw the situation, and she jumped up and she said, "May death be upon you and the anger of Allah and the curse of Allah." You see, it triggered her differently. It triggered her differently. And so the Prophet ﷺ turned to Aisha and he said, "Manan ya Aisha." He said, "Relax, Aisha. Why are you getting all worked up? Relax." So we're talking about two people, the same situation, having two totally different experiences. The Prophet ﷺ told Aisha, "Relax. No need to, get all riled up." Aisha said, "Didn't you hear what they said to you, O Messenger of Allah?" You see how it triggered her? It triggered her differently. She said, "Didn't you hear what they said to you, O Messenger of Allah?" And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Yes, of course." He said, "But didn't you hear what I responded back? I responded back, and to you too." It didn't trigger the Prophet ﷺ the way that it triggered Aisha. And they were two people, husband and wife, having the same, perspective. Is an illusion. It can be. It's all on how you interpret it. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Allah will answer my dua against them, will not answer their dua against me." So, and in another narration, he said, "Well, we're all going to die." All of us are going to die. So when they said, "May death be upon you," the Prophet wasn't offended by that. He just simply said, "And to you too, we're all going to die. Death on you too, we're all going to die." Is there anyone that is exempt from death? So the Prophet ﷺ's interpretation of the event didn't allow his emotional state to change. You guys following me? This is so important, man, for us to understand. In light of our relationships, you guys got to come out. You guys got to come out a different understanding as to perception. The perception is your understanding. That is how you filter. That's how you derive your understanding, by the way you perceive it. That is the way that you derive your understanding, by your perception, how you perceived it, how you interpreted it. So the Prophet ﷺ and Aisha are clearly two people, husband and wife, in the same situation, having the same experience, but interpreting it different ways. Aisha interpreted it as disrespect. And so therefore she responded. She retorted in a way that shows that she was triggered. And the Prophet ﷺ didn't see it as disrespect. He saw it as a truth. They were trying to be facetious. They were trying to be facetious. But the Prophet ﷺ was able to see through the facetiousness and to see the truth of what they were saying. Yeah, we're all going to die. And to you too. He wasn't offended by it. So happiness depends much more on your attitude than it does external circumstances. Your emotional state is based upon how you interpret events in your life rather than what happened. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just turn the periscope off. I'm going to turn the thing off, and then I'll start it back up, inshallah. That way, those who have so much to say can just go.